Who's already producing music? Okay. So most of the people are here because they're interested in getting into producing music. The whole concept that I'm presenting today is 3 different levels you can come in at to try and produce your own music using the skills you've already gained as a DJ. First one is your set of ears and working from the skills you've learned about collaging sounds and using your EQs and your effects. And then slowly getting you towards using, does anyone know the term DAW? D-A-W? Digital Audio Workstation, so basically a bit of music making software. But I've taught among the many years I've been doing this, I've taught a lot of people how to produce music, and this seems like a really good accessing point for those who are coming from a DJing background. And I will show you something relevant to it in a minute. But I'm capturing this so it goes up on my YouTube and Facebook channel afterwards. So if you join the Facebook link I'll give you in a minute, in fact, if I just pull that up for you, it's just at the bottom there, the sound shooter. So if you go to there, in the next couple of days I'll get the video up and then you've got it for reference as well. And yesterday, it was happy about doing screen capture and doing camera to the laptop as well. So today we will see whether that's the case still or not. These things like to do their own thing every now and then. That's my post-it note over my own webcam. Hang on a minute. Okay, cool, there we go. Okay, right. So you can see all this. Can everyone see the screen? Yep, then let me begin. So if I've not already mentioned, my name's Liam O'Malan. And in terms of tuition, I go under the term the sound tutor. I used to be the scratch technician. I used to be a turntablist. And I'm more of a finger drummer performer these days, doing, basically that's my live rig in terms of the performances I do these days, but I come from a background of DJing as well. So as I mentioned earlier, it's about marrying of the two and getting them to work in a way that makes it accessible to make music. So I'll have to do a few setup things as we go, but that's fine because that's the whole point of the session, is to understand how all of this stuff talks to each other. So at the moment, I have 2 laptops, but we're going to start on one laptop and explore a couple of things on a single setup. And then because things get a little bit taxing on a single computer, that's why I've gone for 2 laptops towards the end of this session as well, where you can spread the load of 2 different applications and have them beautifully synchronized to each other. So to begin with, let's just go through the couple of points on the slide. So as the advert said for this, it's about using just the things you already know how to use. Cue points, looping, EQ, filtering and effects, and then being creative with pitch and scratching and fader work, hence why I brought a platter controller as well. I'm more traditionally a vinyl scratch DJ, but these are good enough to get the kind of point across, and they fit on my back a lot easier. The first workflow we're going to do is just using Tractor and actually just trying to create different sounds that you can use within a composition, within a Tractor environment. Then we'll look at using Tractor on the lower laptop and having that run through so it goes into the second computer in an application called Ableton Live. Has everyone heard of Ableton Live in the room? Okay, so that is a DAW, it's a digital audio workstation, but it's incredibly, or it can be incredibly loop and vibe orientated. So when you get the two talking to each other, you don't lose the moment and it just feels like you're stood there mixing as you're producing music. Finally, we'll look at how you can take the skills you've already been looking at with the actual DJ interfaces and then how you can take it to another level when you're using something like the push controller, which is what I have here. So the push controller is this one, just so you can see it on the screen as well. And basically, it can launch loops, and that's how we're using it today. But if you then want to take what I go through in this session and advance it to another level, This can also do drum programming and drum playing. It can also do sample playing and sequencing, and you can also use certain functions on it to make composing melodies really accessible as well. There's a scale function on this that lets you just interface with the notes that you want to use for a particular style of music. So, tractor only. Let's get that going. So I'm going to open up Tractor here. Now, although my two laptops are going to be beautifully synced when we get them running, we're still going to be competing with the BPM that we're hearing over there as well. So let's hope it's louder. Because I don't know about you, but I still cringe when I hear galloping going on between two sound sources. So just shrink this window a little bit. Okay, so everyone familiar with Tractor, DJ software, one of the prevalent ones that's out there. I'm just going to make sure it's talking to the correct device, and that's where I need one more cable. Let me just show you how this works. So at home, this would be the cable you'd run into your monitoring system. In this case, it's the cable I'm actually going to run into the inputs on this interface that's running through another computer. Okay, so that should be our audio running through that. And what we can do just to begin with is just run this itself into this laptop on the top here, just so we're working off the same screen. Okay, so the S5, this controller here is hooked up. Just going to make sure it's talking to the actual device we've got hooked up to the speakers, which is a different audio device. And if we've done that, we should be kind of rolling with this. So in terms of just getting stuff loaded, I can do this from the controller itself. You can see down at the bottom I'm doing that from here. I'm just going to load in something that's just going to start off a vibe of stuff we can do here. So just a basic drum beat. See what's going on here. We've got a signal, but it's very low, right? You hear something, but that's way too low. Yeah? So let's boost that up a bit. Okay, so in terms of generating ideas for composition, you know how to DJ already, so you could quite easily just start layering stuff up. Just turn my mic down a little bit. Oh, tempo's a little bit too tasty. Pull that back. So really simple stuff, obviously, in terms of just playing it yourself. So I'm just cueing a loop, but I'm choosing when obviously it plays. I could just have it running. Use fader control. The whole idea is just generating something that's more than just playing back a loop. So these are loops that are inside the Tractor library itself. We just set our EQ about straight. We can set up the recorder up at the top here to capture a certain length of a loop that's running. If I just cue this off at a tidy point, we've got our quantize on as well, so it should tidy at the beginning. So I'll just do a performance as it captures. Okay, so that's captured in there, but I can quite easily have this remix deck. There we go, hello. Listen to the loop recorder and just have it playing there. Just capture 2 layers together straight away into the loop recorder. So, some of you already know how to do this. It has some positive aspects. It's all within one piece of software. A real drawback of it is you're always capturing what you're hearing. So if you want to potentially populate the remix deck down here where you have different slots for different loops, if you want to populate those with different layers that would make up a song, it gets quite tricky because your point of reference is your drums, but when you want to record the next idea, unless you're hearing the drums, you haven't really got anything to play the next idea in over. There's workarounds for it, which I've explored, where you can, one, just play the sound that you're going to add in next and put the metronome on, and in your cue mix, you can hear what's going on in terms of timing, hit record on the looper, and then you have a second layer that's running inside here. Another method is to actually use the recording itself, a little bit broad in terms of it just starts when you hit record and it just starts when you stop. But it gets around one of the other limitations, which is basically your duration of loop. That's at the max right now. If I just delete that loop, 32 is at the max, and that's as long as I can make a phrase for. So if you're thinking of 3.5 minutes or something like that, it's going to take a lot of small sections to get through this. And although you can do it within a DJ software, it's not designed to help you so much. So that's kind of how we could do it if we were just doing it inside Tractor. So this is the point where I'm actually going to switch. So this Tractor's going to shut down. We're going to move to the second setup. So that's where I take out the S5 that I was using already. I plug it into this secondary computer, or should we say our Tractor computer. Okay, I'll just turn the mic down a little bit because it's feeding back. So the only thing I've got to do is make sure that the audio out of this thing is working and go into the input of that sound card. So I'm routing the sound from this one into this computer. Now it's a bit tricky, this setup, because as I said, I've got 2 Tractor controllers in the mix, shall we say, because I want to demonstrate how you can do different techniques with them both. It will just keep occasionally trying to get me to choose one or the other for the sound, but I just want to choose the S5, so that's all I've done there. And then as long as that's happening, I'll just take my system audio away from the S5 so we don't get those maxed out noises happening. And then basically, okay, yeah, we've got drums,
Selector,
vocals, and all sorts of bits from when I was playing around with this last night. So same thing, I'm just gonna this time browse for some drum loops that I've got running in here. Now, interestingly, you could always use the introduction of an existing song if you want a powerful drum sound to begin with. I've done that, and then I stacked up all the layers around it, and then eventually gone back to change that initial sound. So obviously, for copyright reasons, you're not stuck in a hard place with, like last night, I took a big 4-bar, 8-bar chunk out of a Dead Mouse track, so immediately everyone's going to know those drums. But it started the vibe happening, and I built around it, and then eventually replaced those sounds for something a bit more easier to use if you want to release anything. So drum loops. Okay, so our volume is obviously increased, so let's just reset my levels there. That level okay? You can hear it? Okay. Now this is where the clever bit happens. So we're using 2 computers. What we need to do is tell them to talk to each other. So you can see what I've done there. I've created a connection for Wi-Fi. It's not ideal. It may have some issues in this space because there's so much Wi-Fi that could be conflicting with it, so I really hope it works. If you want to try this with your own setup and you just want to remove those things, you just need to make sure you'd have a network cable hooked up between the two. So I'm going to connect this one to that Wi-Fi connection. Should pop up down here now. There we go. Okay, so now once they're talking to each other, I can press this button called Link. So I never heard of Ableton Link. It's come out in the last year or so. I think Serato DJ now supports it too, and maybe some other software, I'm not too sure. Tractor supports it, so does the Machina software that Native use, that I use as well. And Ableton Live, which I'm using in the main screen now, that supports it too. They're the company that invented it. And basically it's a global sync between software. So anyone who's got, let's say, a music making iPad app, if they've got one that supports Link, they can join my Wi-Fi network right now and absolutely be perfect with the stuff that I'm doing. So it's a really good tool, one for collaboration, having multiple people doing things on their own laptops at the same time through the speakers, and also for this, where we want these two things to act like one gelled piece of software. So I'll turn that Link on, and then as soon as I press Link in Tractor, you notice a 1 pops up in the top left-hand corner up there. Now, everything's in sync. So if I turn on the metronome in Ableton, okay? So we're in tempo. Now what I can do is start using this software to capture those little loop ideas. But I can do them for as long as I want. But it will still start them on a downbeat when it captures the recording process, and it will still stop recording on the next downbeat of a bar. So you end up with a perfect loop from the moment you've captured it. So the vibe, as I keep saying, it stays there. So all I'm going to do is just quickly name this Capture. And then I'm telling it to listen to that input from the S5 going into that interface there. You can see it going in. It's not very easy to see. If I actually just help you out a little bit. Okay, so you have a look at how I'm going to do this. I'm going to hit record. Try that again. And finish it. And it's down there. It's recorded. So I've tidied or edited a drum beat simply using the fader. Created quite a staggered drum beat from that loop. And it's captured in. And I can literally do that. I can do this on the software. Let's do it on the software first so you can see what you do if you didn't have a push unit. Just for simplicity, go to duplicate. Because it had a hashtag at the beginning of the name, it just said 2 capture now, and it'll say 3 as I make the next one and so on. And then that one's ready to record as well. So let's get something else going, right? I've got a fundamental kind of breakbeaty drum beat going on already now. So let's see what's in my library. See what other kind of sounds we can get going on. Maybe go for something that's more percussive. Now this is where your DJing kind of head can kick in as well. So I'm going to load something in. I'm actually going to put my headphones on for a second because I can't hear anything at the moment. So we've got sync as an option. But I can also nudge. I can do some beat phase movements like you get when you've got two records. You slightly offset one to the other, so you get a different interaction of the two beats that should be completely in time with each other. So I'm just sliding it, just like a platter control, sliding forwards and backwards. Best as I can, so that it sounds good and it has an interesting placement. Okay, around there sounds good to me. I'm going to just listen on both headphones and EQ it out a little bit. Maybe have a look at the effects I can load in. So I'm going to go for a reverb, turn that on. Okay, so we've got the potential for having a build. Turn it up. And I know there's a freeze button here, which is quite cool for. Well, for muting it seems at that point. Let's try that again. Okay, so that's obviously a short loop, but I can capture another loop now into that software that will be a much longer one. Maybe I'll start off with it actually being quite filtered out as well. Okay, so next one, I'll do it clean. So I'm thinking of the layers and processing levels that you might have on a sound at different points in the track already. Okay, now this one will be the one where I maybe do the reverb as well. Very close, obviously, to what could be the big build. Let's sort the tempo out a little bit. We're running a little bit slow here. So remember, I've done 3 layers, so load that out for a minute. Next one. That's all it is, it's just a simple loop, but obviously I've made it my own by doing processing. This is the reverb one. So I'll do it with the mouse just so it kind of makes sense visually. I'm going to copy that drum beat over. Maybe only have it for those 2 rows. Does that make sense? I'm thinking of ideas across from the horizontal plane now. Because what I can do, if I do it in the software first, I can cue these as potential ideas. Just take the solo off. Okay, so you can see the ideas are building, layers. Let's stick with that middle one. Think of something else to put on top. Let's use some different techniques. So, put that playing. I'm going to create a new track to accommodate this new idea that I'm going to do. So I'll do it with the hardware this time. So duplicate that track. Just delete out any parts I don't want. But purely duplicating things quicker. I could have a template with 16 tracks already set up if I want to do it that way as well. And then just make sure it's ready to record. Okay, so let's get something musical happening on this. Let's try and give it a bit of melodic content. Put in synth loops. Lots of of reverb at the moment. Try something else. So we've got, make sure you can hear me. So we've got the usual options. What we've got, key lock, so we can mess around with the pitch of this as it plays back. So I might try that as like a mixed in key kind of thing, or key harmonic mixing idea, and just sweep around while it's in lock mode until it seems to fit with the music that's playing. Then I'll start working it and make it my own. There, sounds better. So, tools that we have at our disposal. I can go to the turntable, maybe try and scratch something, but I'll wait until I've got maybe a little vocal idea to go for that approach. On here, you have normal loop points, but you also have the freeze function. Has everyone seen that before? It's pretty hard to demonstrate. If I get it up and running, I can show you. Pulls camera over. So it's not much in this loop, so let me just zoom out a little bit. It's like cue points, except they'll keep going round. Okay, so let's just put that back for a minute. Let's try and vibe with the tune again. So it's worthwhile tweaking the EQ, using your ears again just to try and help it sit in its best position within the other sounds you got going. So that's all I'm going to try and do on my headphones now. Maybe get a delay on this so it has a bit more of a lasting effect once I stop playing with those stats. That's better. So again, whenever I'm ready, okay, so there's something in there, I think, but it's within a larger idea. So in terms of editing, I can do it on the hardware for those, like if you're like myself and you prefer to have stuff that's in front of you. And all I'm doing here, you can probably see reflected on the software, is just changing the length of the loop, because I know I don't want whatever that ended up being. Was it 19 bars? Yeah, so it's an uneven amount anyway. I'm going to go for 4 and just audition the little bits that I did and see what suits. So that was there's 2 potential ideas in there, so I'll just duplicate that across, alter that second version. that loop again for the second copy. Quite like that, like build-up thing going on. That's a bit too much, I think. At least it's going to keep repeating, so I'll just shorten that down to half the length. Okay, so ideas so far. We have the first line. Third potential idea. This is missing bass, right? I've completely overlooked having something that fills out the bottom of the speakers. So I'll do a quick scratch thing and then we'll get a solid low end to this. Right, so I've loaded it up on here purely because this has better browsing functionality than this thing, but I want to scratch. So just duplicate the track again. That one's ready for the next idea. Just delete out the ideas. Take that key lock off. That's what's happening. Go to headphones so we know what we're doing. Okay, so when I'm ready, I'm not too fussed about trying to hit that and jump over here and be ready, so I'll just hit record and we can edit it afterwards. Going a couple of different techniques. Still recording. Okay, pretty messy, but there's stuff in there, so edit that out. So I'm gonna duplicate that across. Generally, you don't have to do much in terms of generally, you don't have to do much in terms of balancing because you're just doing it as a DJ set as you go. The difference is you're not committing it all to one single recording that you can never alter afterwards if you don't need to change your mind about anything as well. So that's one of the loops going, I would say, and then which was the big one there. So go for the stuff later on. Yeah, that's interesting. So before I put some bass on it, let's just quickly look at the third level. So we've looked at how you can kind of just get this into the Tractor environment and the limitations of that, but it's obviously quite quick and it's with maybe what's familiar with you already. If you can commit to either within one computer, I can show people how to do it so that two apps can talk to each other, or across two, you can develop that, utilizing the skills you've got, and then obviously capturing it into this just as a loop capture device. It can do way more, but we're just simply using it for that function. And then once it's in there, we've got all the options that every producer has at their fingertips when it comes to having a more advanced piece of software too. But it doesn't have to be complicated because we can jam with the functionality on this thing and hit record and capture the movements. One real big advantage of it is, unless you set it up to do so, it won't capture it as actual audio changes. It'll capture it as data that can then be edited with a mouse and fixed or whatever afterwards too. So this is what I mean about the kind of the three progressions in terms of how we're doing this. You could stay with this just as it is and just get all your ideas down as core loops and build them and maybe just perfect your performances till they're right once they're recorded in there. But then if you want to, you can enhance on top of that and add some extra layers of details and stuff as well. So let's do that. It's really simple in terms of adding stuff. I can go to a library menu, which is available in the software here, which if I want to add an audio effect, which is what we're used to using in the DJ world, we can just add them here. So we've got filters, and we've got delays, and we've got all those sorts of things. But I can you just drag and drop them to the track, but I can also do it from here. So this is why I'm kind of sort of pitching this concept, shall I say, in terms of having it hands-on so you don't feel like you're suddenly moving into a software programming environment. You don't have to go there if that's not your comfort zone. So yeah, let's add an audio effect. It's going to be a filter. Okay, so I can just edit that filter that should show up there. And just like DJ stuff, I'm just controlling it with a dial. So now if I press play. I'm going to change it a little bit to make it sound a bit more appropriate. So hit record. If you're interested, what's actually just happened there is it's done that. It's captured it all inside the software. But again, we don't have to look at that if we don't want to. I can delete it by just holding a delete key and tapping it and get rid of it and capture it again. If I mess it up from something like this, you can redo it, add it back again. There we go, undo. Bring it back. So, before I finish up, let me do one more thing. Let's get some bass on this and show you a couple of other sort of DJ-oriented techniques that are very applicable to producing music. So I'm going to load in a bass part. I'm going to duplicate this track first, so we know we've got our kind of our track ready to work with. And the only reason why I'm actually looking at the screen when I'm deleting these is the light and the fact I haven't put the power supply in this. It's only on USB. This is the one thing that's not powered to add extra light, so I'm just struggling a little bit to see the pads. So that's why I'm looking over there, but otherwise you don't need to, it's all on this. So I'll just record that track and prepare that track for recording, sorry. Let's get some bass. Let's see what these bass sounds are doing. No, my ears are deceiving me, it's that one. Now it's in key with the other music. So all I've done is do the same thing, key lock and change the properties of it. Let's fire something up on this turntable as well. So you can hear what's going on? 2 bass lines. Watch that delaying. Something like that. So I'll capture that now. Changes again. So you get the idea. Anyway, we're going to have to stop there because we've got to finish up the presentation. Just make sure I kind of covered everything. Using the Ableton Link system, regardless of the software you use, if it supports it, is a great way to get different apps to work with each other. You wouldn't have to necessarily go with a controller like that if you wanted to take on this kind of workflow. you could technically just put one of these into MIDI mode and assign it's your preferred kind of controls. I'm obviously like into fader stuff, so I could map those and control the software that way. It's fairly simple to do. And yeah, as I said, the PDF of the actual slides will be up on my Facebook channel at the end, or later today, and I'll capture this video and get that up there too. So do, if you can, get to Facebook, go on there, and feel free to come up while I'm packing away if you have any questions as well. Okay? Cool. Thank you.